Hello, I'm Andrew Hara, the host of the Mom Squad. I wanted to tell you about my movies. All are available on Tubi, which is a free streaming service. The last one is a zombie drama about how a pandemic and isolation could drive a group of people mad. When the virus hits, John finds himself alone and scared until he meets Michael, his protector. But when Karina, another survivor, enters the mix, everything that John and Michael knew will be turned on its head. The last one is a zombie virus movie that's somehow even more relevant today. Plus, it has zombies. Check it out. Borderland is a mexploitation film about living in El Paso. When Sarah finds herself in debt to the cartels, she has until sunrise to find some missing monies with the help of her executioner. Borderland is a true midnight movie and a lot of fun. Finally, the documentary Humble Spirits tells the story of the Hahn family, including champion Jennifer Hahn from El Paso, Texas. The entire Hahn family has grown up in the combat sports and has helped shape who they are both in and out of the ring. Humble Spirits, a family of fighters, is the perfect documentary for boxing fans of all ages. Check out Tubi to watch all my films. And now, let's start the show. The other day, I was watching a movie on Shudder called Who Invited Them? Who Invited Them tells of a couple hosting a party, and as the party winds down, they find two guests who have stayed, claiming to be their neighbors. So, in an act of hospitality, they decide to keep the party going. As the night wanders on, this leads to a cat and mouse game as these quote unquote guests start to pick, start to probe, and start to turn the couple against each other. It's a fun little movie that would have been one of my favorites of the year, and I was totally on board with until the ending. Or the lack of the ending. At the end, spoilers for Who Invited Them, which I do recommend you see, when the climax is at its peak and all the characters are squaring off against each other, the movie just kind of stops. Then it cuts to after the climax to have a scene that is aiming to leave things ambiguous, but instead leaves it unfinished. This got me thinking about ambiguous endings. What makes them work? And why do the directors use them? Hello, I'm writer-director Andrew Hara, and on today's episode of The Deep Dive, we're going to look at ambiguous endings. So before we begin, let's define what an ambiguous ending is. An ambiguous ending is one where the movie never quite tells the viewer what happened. Now, all endings leave some openness to them, but ambiguous ones leave a major thread open to interpretation. This is different than, say, a cliffhanger ending, because a cliffhanger ending implies that the answer will eventually be told. Kind of like Empire Strikes Back, where it ends with Han Solo being captured by Jabba the Hutt, but the filmmakers knew by the time that movie was made that Return of the Jedi, the next sequel, would also be made, so they purposely left a cliffhanger that they knew they would eventually close. An ambiguous ending differs in that the filmmaker wants it to be open-ended. This leaves the ending up to the viewer. That's why doing things like talking to the wardrobe department to figure out if Inception had a closed ending is kind of dumb. Christopher Nolan meant for you to answer the question yourself. So it's up to you, not the wardrobe department. Some examples of great movies with ambiguous endings are, like I just said, Inception, Ex Machina, and of course, the film we're going to mainly be focusing on, The Thing. The Thing is a 1982 sci-fi classic by John Carpenter, based on the novella Who Goes There? It's considered one of the scariest films of all time by most of the public and also by Andrew Hara. The Thing is about a research group in Antarctica. The movie starts off with the research group seeing a dog being hunted by another group of researchers. During the chase, the other group literally killed themselves trying to get to the dog. This leads our group to try to figure out what happened, and they head out to the base, which turns out to be Swedish, to find answers. When they get there, they find a horrifying crime scene filled with dead bodies, burned bodies, merged bodies, and remnants that have horrifying implications that the team turned on each other. As they get back and continue to search for answers, they find out that the dog isn't really a dog at all, but he's some kind of organism from another world that mimics whatever it comes in contact with.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation.
From there, it's a story of paranoia, horror, and suspense as the crews try to figure out who's who and how to stop the thing. The ending of the movie finds McCready, played by America's sweetheart Kurt Russell, resting after killing the final alien. That's when another member, Childs, played by America's sweetheart Keith David, shows up. Both being exhausted, they decide to rest before making any moves.
If we've got any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it.
Well, what do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
The thing can mimic anyone. It had been mimicking the dog and eventually the humans of the group. So both McCready and Childs aren't 100% sure, as they had gotten separated, who's who. The film ends on the ambiguous note on whether they are both human or both things, or one and one, and whether they really stopped the alien menace, or if it still exists and it's right in front of their eyes. Now, this is a perfect example of an ambiguous ending. But why does it work so well? Well, let's take that deep dive into why the ambiguous ending of the thing works. So, we have to view the movie as a whole. And the main theme of the thing is paranoia. As the alien moves through the station and more people are transformed, we're right there with the team, questioning who's an alien, who's still human, and who can we trust. Carpenter constantly has us questioning who is who throughout the entire film. And usually we don't find out until that happens. So it makes perfect sense for this film to end on an ambiguous note. With its theme of paranoia and distrust, how could he give us a final answer? Just like McCready and Childs, we leave questioning whether they are human and whether they succeeded. By being ambiguous, Carpenter puts us into the shoes of the character and leaves us with the thought that the perfect world we live in could be hiding a dark secret. It's a perfect way to end this tale of paranoia. But that's not the only reason it works. Another reason it works is while the ending keeps the theme going, the story of the film is essentially completed. Something that a lot of filmmakers get wrong about ambiguous endings is they leave the ending completely open, like the film we talked about at the beginning. We need enough information to question without being completely left in the dark. The story boils down to a research team has to stop an alien menace, and the film does accomplish this to a point. The information we are giving into the finale is that Childs and McCready are human. They have been tested, so we know that they're human. When McCready squares off with the lead alien, they get separated. This is where the original story has ended. All the things that make up a story have been met, and the climax has been reached as McCready has stopped the alien. It's only after the story has ended that we are introduced to this new idea, that Childs or McCready could possibly be things. It's more of an epilogue that helps to strengthen the themes of the story. Again, the ambiguity works because we have all the answers. We suspect the alien menace is gone, and the only reason that we are hesitant is because of our paranoia. Again, the theme of paranoia is reinforced by the ending because we learn, much like life, that once you start to distrust your neighbors, you just can't turn it off. It lingers. It stays with us. The strength of the movie is that it shows that paranoia can be a weapon as much as it can be a tool. And so again, we find ourselves questioning not only the men, but why the men are acting the way they are. The thing gives us a cynical look at how humans turn on each other, and even when the reasons are honorable, how little we are prepared when our neighbors start to attack. The theme is still relevant to this day. That's the mistake most movies make with ambiguous endings. It's the one that Who Invited Them made. If you're going to do an ambiguous ending, then you must still have some sort of ending. There should be a finality to the action so that we can go into the ambiguity with enough information to make our own decision. Who Invited Them just ends, and so we don't really feel satisfied. Movies like Inception and Ex Machina gives us the end of the story and uses the ambiguous ending to expand on the themes, or in Inception's case, a final character beat to give the character peace. The ending of the thing doesn't give us all the answers, but it does something just as good. It leaves us with a question about the characters, about ourselves, and about how we view the world. The Thing's ending is a perfect ambiguous ending. And it's not because of what it says, but because of what it doesn't say. So, does this ending work better than a closed ending? Perhaps it's more fitting to leave the question up to you and let you answer on your own. I've been director Andrew Hada. If you've enjoyed this, please give us a like and a subscribe. And we'll see you on our Bomb Squad, our weekly podcast. Oh, and by the way, happy Halloween!